So actually, the third wave of Rama was just a few years ago, was just recently, and Rama completely changed. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
we went from being like um, arts and entertainment to being more of just like community. And instead of putting on shows, what we would do is we would have these dumpling parties, which needs no explanation. And we would just have these parties, and people like we would get a ton of people, and we would do this thing at the dumpling parties where we would do, it was kind of like a show and tell,
Mm-hmm.
where if you had like a passion project or something creative that you were doing, that you were working on, you could like talk about it or you could show it off, and it didn't have to be polished, you didn't have to be professional. You could just, it could just be a hobby or something that you're interested in, and people would show it off at these parties, and it would be such a great vibe because everybody's like happy to be there and happy to be eating dumplings and then happy to be supporting each other with their passion projects. So
Mm-hmm.
that was from like 2017 to 2018, 2019, and then the whole thing got shut down by the pandemic, which is really unfortunate. And so we've been on in hiatus ever since. But yeah, that's the story of Rama,
So,
which is essentially the story of me.
well, how do you see it? Its resilience and its resurgence coming back out of coming out of COVID. I mean, we're about a week or two away from the world opening up, or the
Yeah,
mandate for no longer wearing masks on the 15th or something.
I'm really excited about it. I think there's going to be a lot of really crazy, great things happening coming out of the pandemic. You know what's funny is that like I used to. I'm a luddite. I still have a flip phone. I hate technology, and I used to be very pessimistic about society. I thought we were too reliant on technology, and everybody was like living in their phones with their phone an inch away from their face. And I
Hmm.
was like, God, we're so terrible. Like we're so
Wait, so you're
antisocial
telling me
now.
when
Blah
you
blah.
go to bed, you don't like the phone falling on your face?
I know, as much as that, as fun as that is. But then, it was great. One of the amazing things about the pandemic was that the pandemic actually proved me completely wrong. The pandemic happened, everybody got quarantined, and everybody was dying to be social. Everybody was dying to get back together, and hated Zoom and hated all these video calls that we're doing, and hated being apart from each other. And it just totally proved me completely wrong that like we aren't completely reliant on our technology, and we're not like becoming automatons. We are desperate to connect. And so I'm like super excited for quarantine to be lifted, and to see what happens with Rama and with the Asian American community, because we as a community, we're in this really tough place right now, where we're experiencing a lot of pain and trauma, and right, they're lifting the quarantine right as we're trying to figure out what to do about it, and how to feel about it. And so I really hope, I have a lot of optimism and a lot of excitement about Asian Americans really coming together to heal and to process all the bad shit that went down this past year, because it was a bad year. It was a tough year for us, very, very tough year. And it's funny, like I this is, if I may, I have this vision of like Asian America um, standing at a crossroads. It's almost like we're at a crossroads right now. If I can get
Hmm.
dramatic for a second, um, it's like in the movie. It's like in the movies where you have this character, and a lot of shit happens to that character, and they keep getting beaten down and beaten down and beaten down.
Hmm.
And at one point, they have this choice whether to become whether to give in to their anger and their desire for revenge, or whether to stand up and to take what has happened and to derive strength from it, and to be better, and to go out and do good in the world. And it's basically like an origin story for like whether the person's going to become like a villain or a hero. And I feel like, to be honest, I feel like Asian Americans, like we're at that point right now. Like we've experienced so much crap. We've been beaten down and beaten down and beaten down and thrown to the ground, quite literally, in the past year. And here we are, and now it's like, well, what do we do? Do we give in to these feelings of anger and resentment, and a desire for retribution and revenge, or do we stand up and and come together with each other, heal, and use what has happened to us to make us stronger and make us better? That's the kind of question that I think sits before us right now in this really, really interesting time,
Hmm.
right as quarantine is lifting. So that's kind of like my really dramatic take
No, and
on the
if
current
I
moment.
if I might add, I would say, I think a lot of Asian Americans will do the most honorable thing. But I
Hmm.
also think that, from to add on what you're saying, don't just do the most honorable thing, do the most bold thing you can. Be
Yeah.
bold, be
Oh yeah.
loud, and make sure that, we are, you hear us roar. I mean, kind of like the
Yeah.
apes, right? Willie, if
Yeah.
Willie was there, I'd be like banging my chest like the apes everywhere. um,
Well, yeah, stand. That's what I mean by like stand up, be loud, be proud, and to the retake the sort of the dignity that has been taken from us in a lot of ways. But do you do that in a way that hurts others, or do you do that in a way that actually helps others? That's the superhero question, right?
mhm,
That's the Marvel question. That's the Captain America question, right? Captain America gets beaten down, beat up, literally beat up in an alleyway,
mhm.
but instead of giving into anger and fear and paranoia and all this stuff, he decides to go out and fight for the world and to give himself to the world, right?
Oh yeah.